You know, I recently moved to Virginia, so I thought it would be nice if I could bring on some local celebrities, and I wanted to bring on the Virginian and best-selling children's book author Matt Walsh. I believe he's the host of the Matt Walsh Show somewhere or other, and also he has now written the book, the best-selling book, I believe. What is it called? It's called Johnny the Walrus. Mr. Walsh, it's good to see you. How you doing?
Doing great. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So there, yeah, hold up the book because, you know, we want to sell as many copies as we can. What is the story of, what is the touching story of Johnny the Walrus?
Well, within this children's novel, which is what I've decided to call it now, even though it's written on cardboard, it's a story of a young boy who's, you know, very imaginative and creative, and he likes to pretend to be different things like all children do. I know that myself as a father. And one day he pretends to be a walrus for whatever reason. And really the reason is just that walrus seemed like the funniest animal for this. And his confused mother learns from the woke mob and society and the internet that you're supposed to take your child's self-identity seriously these days. And if he identifies as a walrus, then he actually is a walrus. And so she endeavors through most of this lengthy story to raise her child as a walrus. And I don't want to give away spoilers or anything, but over time she does come to understand that, hey, just because your child is pretending to be something, identifying as something, doesn't mean he actually literally is that thing. So that's kind of the story.
So I'm sure that our friends on the left must have just loved, they must be buying this in droves. I saw that it really was high on the Amazon list. It must be leftists who are buying it to keep themselves warm through the Christmas holiday. I know you went to a speech and the actual mob of protesters showed up. Is that right?
Yeah, I think they showed up. First of all, as I've been saying, that's no way to treat a children's book author to begin with. But I was speaking at SLU, and that's a Catholic school, allegedly. Well, it's a Jesuit school, so you got to put an asterisk there. But yeah, it was, and I was originally invited to speak about pro-life issues, not even Johnny the Walrus, and that's what first set the protesters off. The idea that a Catholic man would go to a Catholic school and talk about being pro-life was too much for them to bear, apparently.
Wait, they weren't even protesting the book. They were protesting the fact that you are, as a Catholic, against abortion at a Catholic school. Is that was why they were protesting?
I think they were just sort of protesting my general essence, really everything about me. I think, but they were kind of. In fact, when I went out to talk to my protesters. I thought it would only be polite to go and try to have a conversation with them, and they weren't interested in having a conversation. So they just kind of chanted slogans at me. But they really cycled through just all of the greatest hits. They went through, you know, Trans Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, My Body, My Choice. They were kind of cycling through all of it. So I think, I don't even know if all of them knew why they were there or even who I was. They just were kind of, they said, oh, they're chanting. Let's go and join the fun.
Now, many of you know my title of Lord of the Multiverse. And I couldn't get a nice plaque that showed that I actually own a piece of the multiverse, which of course I do. But I could get a plaque that shows that I own a little piece of Scotland and I am Lord Andrew Klavan. And this is legit. This is legit. Established titles. This comes from Established Titles. It's your opportunity to earn the title of Lord or Lady and gain the respect you deserve. Now, that part hasn't worked for me, but it might work for you. All you need is 1 square foot plot of land in Scotland. Established Titles is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds or lords and ladies in English. In your title pack, you'll receive at least 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate and an official certificate with a crest. Your certificate, here it is, will include a unique plot number with which you can see the exact location of your land. With this certificate, you could officially change your name to Lord and Lady and get it on your credit card or plane tickets or anything else like that. Established Titles is having a great limited time sale, so go to establishedtitles.com/Klavan to save 10% off today. And remember to use the discount code Klavan or just click the link below. That's establishedtitles.com/Klavan or just click the link below. Shouldn't it be Lord Klavan /Lord Klavan? Well, it's not. It's Klavan. It's KL. You know, on a semi-serious note, one of the things that I've been really happy about is to see the Daily Wire move into the cultural things, making movies. And, you know, it's always been the sort of dream of my life that our culture would start to have voices like ours in it. On Twitter, on my Twitter feed, you were roundly attacked for bringing out this book by right-wing authors who said, this is not the sort of thing we should be doing. This is beneath us. It's not going to convince anybody, and it makes us look like we're just trolls who don't know what we're doing. I want to give you a chance to respond to these scurrilous accusations.
I think what we shouldn't be doing on the right is attacking each other when one of us has a little bit of success with something, because that is also a problem on the right. I'm not sure I could quite see the problem if a conservative is able to write a book like this, which obviously attacks gender ideology. Now, you might not like the way that it attacks it, but that's what I did, and we got it to number 3 on Amazon. And conservatives, there are conservatives that have a problem with that see that as a bad thing. I don't quite understand the accusation. Now, obviously, if I have to explain this, that Johnny the Walrus, a cardboard book, is meant to partially be funny. It's not supposed to be totally serious. So I did see some people on Twitter saying, well, this isn't real art. Like, okay, you're right. It's not Rembrandt. I agree with you. But it's also not supposed to be. And one other point about it is we are trying to make a mockery of gender ideology because I believe that it deserves to be mocked. And that's not everybody's approach. I understand that. But I think that, at least for some of us, that ought to be the approach. I think that it's an absurd and also destructive and toxic thing. And along with engaging with it intellectually, as I do, as we all do, we should also mock it. That's the appropriate response to this sort of thing, and that's what the book is meant to do.
Yeah, and the culture is not just Rembrandt. The culture actually is all these things, including trolling people. It just seems ridiculous to me, and I thought it was just a bunch of bitter authors who weren't getting the attention they wanted. But I think it's just you're absolutely right that right-wingers attack each other's success. It's appalling. You have one of the best questions you have asked on your show and on Twitter is for a definition, if gender ideology, if transgender ideology is true, what is the definition of being a woman? Have you ever gotten a response to that question?
No, I really haven't. And that's one of the things at SLU. I when they first started protesting me and putting petitions and everything together to stop me from coming, I said, listen, I'll be there. We'll have a Q&A. And if any person can get up in the Q&A and give me, from the left, give me a definition of woman that's coherent and makes sense, I will admit defeat and never do another college talk ever again. And still, nobody came to answer the question. Nobody ever has. I mean, they really have never even, the most you'll get, the most I've ever gotten, is something along the lines of a woman is anyone who identifies as a woman. But of course, obviously that doesn't work as a definition because it's circular. You're using the word itself in the definition. That's because the real answer from their perspective, which they usually won't say, is that a woman isn't really anything. The word doesn't mean anything anymore. And that's obviously the point we're trying to make. Yeah.
I only got a minute left, but I got to ask you go to a Catholic school to talk about abortion, you get protested. On your Twitter feed, you self-identify as a theocratic fascist, I believe is the felicitous phrase you use. Are you in despair about your church?
I wouldn't go quite to the level of despair, but I will say that, and this is not just the first time, the most hostile reactions I have gotten on campuses have been at Christian universities, not always Catholic, but at least the two most hostile reactions have been at Catholic or Christian universities, and that I think is a really sad statement.
It really is strange. I mean, that Catholics now dominate the Supreme Court. They dominate in some ways the conservative movement. And yet it's as if the basic tenets of Catholicism have become anathema to Catholics. It's weird. All right, Virginian and best-selling child book author, the author of, I can't keep finding it. What's Johnny the Walrus? Sorry, Johnny the Walrus. There it is. Hold up the book. It's great to see you, Matt. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks.
If you love this content, how could you not love this content? Subscribe and like.